Hey guys, and welcome to Victoria 2 with me, NG Paradox. Now this video is going to go over a couple important things. Number one, an update obviously for our observation series we've been doing from CK2 to EU4, and we've been trying to convert it to Victoria 2. But I must tell you guys, as was expected, I would have hoped they would have updated the mod by this point, updated the conversion by this point, but they've not, actually, which has surprised me. It's been months now since the last update to the conversion mod, so maybe there's some difficulties since the last DLC of EU4 or something. I have no idea, but it seems as though we still cannot convert from the CK2 to EU4 to Victoria 2 right now. I did hope after we did it again, because we did it the first time, I thought if we do it the second time, that's a lot of time. It goes by, we went over 30 parts, it probably will be updated, but it never was. I do apologize, guys, nothing I can really do about that. I'm going to keep waiting and see if they do update it. Once they do, I will convert those saves, and we'll probably start with the one we just did. We'll do that one first, and when that one's done, to Hearts of Iron 4, we'll then go back to the previous one if people still want me to, and we'll also convert that. That's if people still would want me to. So that leaves me in a situation about what we should do next while we wait. Now, I know a lot of you might ask, or the most obvious thing to think about is to go back to CK2 again and do another observation series from CK2 to EU4. Maybe just make it just say it's going to be just those two, maybe, because we know, it might not be able to do it by the end of it either. Who knows when they're going to update the mod? So we could do that, but I could change some things. Start in 1066, or we could maybe turn on Sunset Invasion. Many things we could potentially do. I do want to do those in the future, but I don't want to do that. We've done it twice already, and both those times I've wanted to convert to Victoria 2, and we've not been able to yet. And I feel if we go back to CK2 again, I'm going to burn out. Because doing it twice already, doing the same two things, kind of, I feel like if I do it a third time, I might burn out, or at least I won't enjoy it as much as the first two times, and then my commentary is not going to be as good, and maybe then for you guys, it might not be as good either, and I don't want to do that to you guys as well. Plus, I would love to give you guys something slightly different. We will go back to those in the future. Once the Victoria 2 conversion has been updated, we will go back, or if it never gets updated, which I think would be very unlikely, because they've updated it for a long time in the past. So I think that's unlikely, but even if it was, we might then just go back to CK2 and EU4, then just do ones between them. That could be potentially what we just do in the future. But let's talk about now. Now, the thing I would love to do is I would like to do for you guys, because we never get to go to Victoria 2. We get so close, but we can never get to it. I would like for us then to actually do a series in Victoria 2. Not an observation series. I would like to actually just play Victoria 2, because, number one, anyway, playing Victoria 2 is almost like an observation series, because there's not always something for you to do. So there are long periods where maybe it can be quite boring. You're kind of watching what's going on in the world, seeing the crises and stuff, and seeing what all the other nations are getting up to. That can be large parts of the game anyway, so it's not that big a difference. Plus, I've never done a Victoria 2 series on the channel. I've done some streams of it, and I have really enjoyed it. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to choose some random nations. I've got a random number generator, and we're going to base it on the prestige. So I've got 1 to 193. We're going to click it a few times. Whatever nations it comes up with, we will then put them into a straw poll. That will be found in the description below. And I'd love for you guys to actually go down and vote for which nation you would like to see us play in Victoria 2. I think it could be a lot of fun. I know a lot of people who play Paradox games actually have not played Victoria 2 or don't know much about it. So it could be fun for you guys. You can see the in-depth of how it works and how we can hopefully at least be okay. I'm not trying to say I'm a good Victoria 2 player. I would never say that. But we've done some decent things in the stream, I think. It took us a while to learn, though. So yeah, it could be a lot of fun. So I'd love to know what you guys think down below. Tell me in the comment section, what do you think? Are you happy with me doing a Victoria 2 series? Or is it something you guys are really against? If you guys are really against it, I will not do it, because I want to give something to you guys. You guys have followed this series and the last series. I want to make sure you guys get something, because people who follow my other series, like the Game of Thrones mod, and my Romans of the Three Kingdoms 13 series, they're already getting stuff that they want. This is something I want to do for you guys, potentially. And so that's why I'm putting this vote in this video as an update to this series, rather than putting it as its own standalone video where everyone will see it and might influence it more. Then again, I'm sure everyone else will find out and come and vote in this video. So let's go and see what nations we get. So, like I said, tell me down in the comment section below what you think, but also which nation you would like to see, and just go and vote on the straw poll. I will look at it a few days later, and I will decide based upon which one is the highest one, what to play as, okay? So we could get some interesting nations. So, click. And the number is number 32. So if we go down the prestige, we have number 32. Number 32 is Greece. Well, well, well. Greece. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about each nation, so you guys get an idea of what it's going to be like, especially for you who maybe have not played much Victoria 2. Greece actually starts as a secondary power, which is useful, but they're 16th, so they're on the very edge of being a secondary power. So that'll probably change completely once we begin. Their prestige obviously is pretty good. Industry and military seem to be not too bad. But obviously they're surrounded by the Ottoman Empire. So it can be a risky place, but also they can have claims and cause crises against the Ottomans. So Greece might actually not be too bad. It would depend on RNG. This one's definitely one that can depend on RNG. There is potential here to become a very good secondary power nation. I did actually play this as my very first stream for Victoria 2 as Greece when we were learning to play. That was a long time ago. It went okay. It didn't go great, so it would be nice to actually go in and play it. Now that I think I know what I'm doing, or at least I know more what I'm doing, I will also try and roleplay as the nation as well. So how nations treat us, I will keep that into account, but we are obviously trying to win the game. So Greece could be a little fun one, but let's go for then number 2. Number 2 will be number 48. So we have number 48. So we're getting actually pretty good numbers. There's 190 nations. It could be really low down, make things very difficult, but so far we've got 2 pretty good nations then. And that is Haiti. Huh. Okay, Haiti has very high prestige then. 48, but their industry and military number 120. So obviously there might not be any industry or hardly any military there. So this could be interesting. I've never really played in this area. I've never played as Haiti. They are a civilized nation, so this means we can build things up. We can try and keep up with other nations. It's a presidential dictatorship. So we will be surrounded by places like, you know, Spain or England, so those could cause us trouble. But if those 2 nations collapse or other nations go against them and force them to give away their colonies, it could open things up for us potentially. Huh. That could be an interesting one as well. So if you want to see us play Haiti, that could be a fun one. Both these nations, I feel like, are surrounded by some big people, and it mostly will be about the RNG, I think, and the relations with the big nations. I can't really see Haiti doing too much here, like expanding. I can't see them expanding too much land-wise, maybe. I don't know if they can really make claims against these guys, or they have any claims. I've never played as them. But they are a civilized nation. We could build up the industry potentially and make them, who knows, maybe a secondary power. I don't know. This one's a very unknown quantity for me. So there we go. Number 2. So number 3 then. Who will it be? Number 33. Wow. We're getting a very sort of similar numbered nations. And that is Moldavia. So Moldavia is right here in between Austria and Russia. And the Ottomans, I guess we could say as well. They're allies to the Ottoman Empire, and they're actually a satellite of the Ottoman Empire. So we'd have to try and find a way maybe out of the Ottoman Empire, or we could use the Ottoman Empire's strength to fight against these guys. They will protect us. So it could potentially be interesting. Again, I don't know if they have claims against Austria or Russia, but this one, again, very similar to Greece, and maybe Greece is in a better situation. Industry and military is low down. It's not very high. Higher than Haiti, but not as high as Greece from what I saw before. And again, never actually played as them. So that could be a very, very interesting. Another civilized nation, though. So definitely 3 very interesting nations that I would never even think about. Well, Greece maybe I'd think about playing, but the other 2, I wouldn't even think about them, to be honest. And we have a high number, number 10. We're getting pretty lucky. I was getting worried that all of these might be like above 100, but we have Sardinia, Piedmont. So Sardinia, Piedmont starts with, pretty good industry and military. Not that much more than maybe Greece, but they've also got more nations surrounding them. You got a few of the Italian states. We could probably... I wonder, can you form Italy as Sardinia, Piedmont? I guess you probably could. So we could probably try and form Italy, though I have done that on the stream as well. So we did that with, I think it was Tuscany? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did it with Tuscany. We could play a Sardinia, Piedmont. It'd be not the most difficult thing. It'd be the easiest one probably to form Italy with, apart from maybe 2 Sicilies. They're, yeah, not too bad, actually. Secondary power starting as, but that could change as soon as you jump in. France and Austria, though, could cause problems, and we could try and use them against each other. So we've got 4 nations so far. We're going to do maybe a few more just to give a bit more variety, and this is more like it. 135. Who will this be? 135 will be Yonezawa. Now, Yonezawa, I am playing with the new nations mod, so it's a mod that just adds a few more nations in, a few more nations you can form and stuff. It doesn't really change anything to the base game. I kind of like the base game a lot. I don't want to change too much. But Yonezawa is one of the shogunate allies and sub-states of Japan. So if we want to play in Japan, we could play as them. Now, the very first time I ever played Victoria 2, years and years ago, I played as Japan in vanilla. Very fun game. In the mod, though, they have got many sub-states, as we can see here. This is obviously one of the weaker sub-states, so I don't really know if it would be useful to be them, or what we can do as them. I imagine there's probably not too much we can do. So I would say I'm not completely sold on this one, plus they're an uncivilized nation. So if you don't know what an uncivilized nation is, this is a nation that obviously can't, keep up with technologies of other nations, the ones that are civilized, or westernized, whatever you want to say. Like in EU4, let's say, is a good example of it. So these guys have to try and learn some things first, and then they can become a civilized nation, and they can keep up with the other nations. So really becoming a civilized nation is your first point of call as an uncivilized nation, but that can take a long time. It means the beginning can be very boring, so I will warn you of that. Being an uncivilized nation can be very boring from the beginning. Though if you start as maybe the shogunate of Japan, it could be pretty fun, probably. Probably could be pretty fun because you're in charge of the rest of Japan, and if you do form up, it's interesting. Then we have, for our, I think our 6th nation now, we're going to do 8. We got number 6, so a really high up nation, and we got Spain. So Spain obviously is in the top 8, so it is counted as a great power. They're a civilized nation, they're Her Majesty's government. Industry maybe is not as good as maybe some nations around them at that level, in the great power states, number 12 ranking. So even though they're 7th maybe overall, they're 12th for their industry, but their prestige is pretty good. That's what's keeping them up. And their military is actually number 9, and 4 million people. Probably should have a bit more of a look at the populations of these nations. You can see there, Sardinia and Piedmont's got a pretty high one. Spain, there were 4 million people, and of course you have all the colonies of Spain. And when I say all the colonies, I mean there's not much. There's maybe not as much left as there used to be of the Spanish colonies, but it definitely could be an interesting one to play as Spain. Obviously, these days, in 1836, they've been on the downward curve, so can we bring Spain back to glory? At one point, it was arguable to say they were the most powerful nation in the world. Could we bring them back? Can we still compete with the likes of France, Britain, Austria, Prussia? Can we hold our own? That could be an interesting one. So that was number 6, I think I said. So number 7 will be 172. Okay, this is very different from Spain. 172 is Jaisalmer. So Jaisalmer is this little nation right here in British India. They are a satellite of the United Kingdom, they're allied to the United Kingdom, but they're basically a state in India, an absolute monarchy. It's a primitive nation, so this one could be extremely difficult. We'd obviously be under the foot of the British, but also protected by them. We'd have to try and break free, we'd have to become civilized. The beginning of this one, I imagine, would be extremely boring. Even more so than maybe the Japan one. So I would definitely not push for this one. But if you guys would like to see us play in India, I'm all for whatever you guys pick. But just, you have to live with the consequences. And the last one, number 8, will be number 34. Took a while to load that one. And it is Denmark. Oh, okay. So we could play as Denmark. That could be a fun one. They've got Holstein underneath them as a puppet. They control this area. Sweden basically has Norway there. So very different from Europa Universalis 4. And obviously there is the threat of Prussia just down here. They don't start off as a secondary power, but I imagine it wouldn't be too difficult to get Denmark into a secondary power. Civilized absolute monarchy. Industry and military actually start off very similar to Greece. But I imagine it wouldn't be too difficult to change that. So there we go, guys. Those are our 8 choices. If you would like to vote for what you'd want to see in Victoria 2, whole new series on YouTube channel, please go to the straw poll down below. Hope you guys will enjoy it. If you want to give me some more feedback or tell me you don't enjoy that idea, please tell me in the comments. But I thought I'd put this out for now. And let's just cross our fingers that the converter is updated at some point in the near future. But yes, guys, have a good one. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good morning. And of course, have a good tomorrow. See you next time.